And I've talked about this before, and the thing about it is, what do we want, right? Do we want commentary around the shooting? What that gonna do? Like, we just want to talk about it. Now y'all know that we either training or we complaining, and if we training, we ain't got time to complain. That white boy went and strapped up, wrote his manifesto, transparently put out there what his thoughts were, trained up, and killed 10 people, knocked him down in cold blood, and say, I'm a racist piece of shit. That's what his message was. And then that was it. Now, you want me, 19 Keys, to come on and talk about this man's actions. You have to understand that we live in America. And by default, by living in America, you have to deal with Americans. And America is not the land of the free, it's the land of the enslaved. You know, in Buffalo, there's a lot of gangsters out there, so-called, thugs out there, so-called, killers out there, so-called. But ain't none of them got nothing to say. We listen to hip-hop, street niggas talk about how they hunt, kill, murder each other all day long. We blame it on the environment, the culture in which we come from, as if you don't have the ability to rise past it. We put no obligation and or duty on the gangsters in our culture, so-called, the killers in our culture, to do anything. And then we allow a few days to go about and we go back to our days in our lives. It's like, if you really want to call up, you need some soldiers. And if the soldiers are not trained, then you can't do nothing with an untrained soldier. It's going to be more detrimental. I try to work with people sometime, and you know, people want a friend. They want somebody that can console them. It's not many of us doing the work that we doing. But people always want value, but not always want to give value. And so it's like being a man of the culture, a man of the people, especially when it comes to our people, man, our melanated people, man, we function dysfunctionally. So we treat the people that do the most for us the worst. We don't want to give them anything. We want them to give us everything. But the people that will be able to, you know, commence in dealing with issues and problems that may arise, you would have to get behind them 100%, because there's not one man or one woman duty to take issue with what happens in the so-called culture. It requires everybody that considers themselves to be a part of it to do something. Didn't we just get a black Supreme Court judge that everybody was happy about? Didn't we just get a black female president? Then we got black senators and black White House correspondents. Those are the people that people celebrate, but we're going to celebrate them. But then ask the people that's at the bottom, or the people that's in the street, or the people that's the influencers and thought leaders, the ones that you don't celebrate. You're not seeing celebrities and the people putting them on and saying congratulations and let me give you more attention so that you can grow what you got going on. You do nothing of that. But when shit hits the fan, you ask the masculine man, you ask the gods, what we gonna do? Well, shit, what we gonna do? Nah, see, that's why we talk separation. If you don't understand your enemy, you cannot defeat your enemy. When we say that there is, you know, racism is little baby shit. That's weak. That ain't even like, somebody that's racist is just weak. That's not even nothing. That doesn't even like somebody that's racist. I feel sorry for them, because that shit is just soft. It's sucker shit. It's insecurity. To dislike somebody because of the way that they were born is just a weird insecurity. You understand me? It's a lack of knowing that you can never be the one that you hate. So therefore, you hate their very existence, because by comparison and contrast, it represents the inequity in existence between, you know, gods and mortals. You feel me? So I don't deal with the ideas of facing racism. But when we deal with white insecurity and white systems, Now we're talking about so-called white supremacy, which is inferiority. You understand me? And conquering, that's a different conversation. But the way you defeat that is not by the consistency in conversation, but by building and high-level execution. Just want y'all to understand that. That's it. That's the only way you go about dealing with that. Now, I don't mind giving a high-level breakdown. I don't mind really going over exactly what we need to do and giving y'all the knowledge to understanding and wisdom. But I don't feel like being a puppeteer for thought to alleviate and make people feel good about themselves because they listen to some conscious distraction for a moment. Like, you know, the issues will continue to arise. Like when we look at, and I haven't even taken too much time to look at what happened with the 18-year-old and his manifesto and all that other racist crap he tried to do. America has a long elite history of that. But I can tell you one thing, and I know this for a fact, that if we gave the same amount of attention and energy and capital that we do to celebrities, influence, and politicians that entertain us, and we give that to those who trying to help save us, the thought leaders and leaders of the culture and the educators, we would have the power to do something about it because we would have our own and be our own. So that's the solution. I'm just saying. Like I seen somebody talk about Kendrick ain't do as many numbers as Drake. Well, Drake album was about toxic masculinity. Who cares? Kendrick album was about healing the toxicity that exists within himself based on the trauma that he went through and the reflection of what we call culture that is just toxicity and trauma. So once we value those things based on capitalism, we become slaves to money. You get that? So you got the solution. You support the real ones, then all of the fake shit stop happening. That's it. Think about somebody that you believe has a lot of influence, a lot of knowledge, and imagine if they had a lot of power. How they go get that power? Well, we live in a commerce-based society. We live in a capitalist-based society that's based on money. When you want somebody, look at Joe Rogan. He got a podcast. Millions of people love him. Spotify, brands came and gave him a deal. Spotify said, man, I give you $400 million. They gave that man all that money. Now he's more empowered to be free and continue to speak and be a voice and to lead for those who believe in what he believes in. People say they don't like Elon or Jeff Bezos or Bill Gates, but he was empowered by the people through capitalism and commerce. You understand me? How do you beat the system of capitalism and commerce? You have to empower those who have the minds, so when they actually get the capital, they will do something with their mind. You understand me? So, you know, my movement is just the upliftment and liberation of our people, man, through creating systems and educating us. You understand me? And when we talk about systems, my main focus right now is creating platforms, you know, and find ways to be more efficient at liberating ourselves. You know, there's so many different things that I would like to do, but, you know, I have to take time based on the resources that I have available to myself. You know, that's it. Elon did buy companies. You understand me? But you know, I don't compare myself to any of those. I don't compare myself to people, you know, who have more privilege than myself. I compare myself to me, and that's it. You know. There's no richest white man in the world that just started off by themselves. There's no just self-made. Family made, man. And that's not a bad thing. That's a good thing. And until we had that in our culture, we can't compete. Imagine a single individual trying to compete with the entity of a family. You ain't competing with that. I don't care how big, like, that's why it's messed up that when we get a little something and we want to become individuals instead of families. Like, y'all operate on liberation or sexual freedom. Sexual freedom don't give you no actual freedom. But that's how y'all be operating. So, I exist in a different world, man. I'm about to focus on different things, but also I'm going to take my time and doing it my way. Because if you do something, the most dangerous thing you can do is to do something for the people. And the most dangerous thing you can do is try to do something by yourself. And especially as a black man, for a man to speak truth to power, try to work to create solutions to problems, you have to give yourself time, because if you don't, you go crash out trying to do what other people want you to do instead of going it about the way that you were destined to do it. Like, I got to do it the way I'm destined to do it, because I burn out trying to prove myself to the people. What is Keys doing? Why he ain't built this, that, and the third? It don't matter, because if I do it in 10 years, you still go love it. If I do it in 5, you go love it. If I do it next year, you go love it. So the worst thing you could ever do is pay attention to the people who complaining. I can have a million detractors that be like, man, what the hell is bro doing? Why he ain't doing this, that, and the third? And then at the same time, I could be building, like, well, do you know how long it takes to build that from the position that I'm in? Have you ever built it? Because I've never met anybody that has more than me that complain about. And I don't get people that complain about me, but I'm just reflecting here. And you're not going to get that as well. You're not going to get people who have more than you that complain about you, because they already know what it takes. We are in a time now, like you said, when you see, it's like when you see racism and the manifestos of racism and murder and hate crimes, we supposed to live in a society to where we control our own. Right now, there's not a black person you can go to and be like, yo, we should have prevented this, that, and the third. But it's predominantly areas where there was a lot of black people. But there's not one black person you can go to and be like, yo, what could we have done to prevent that based on what we got built? Not one person. That says a lot about where we at. Because who do you even blame? We got to go blame. So wait a minute. We mad that the cops handled him correctly? How they supposed to take in people? Because that's one of their people? Well, shit, he don't hate white folks. So white folks like, shit, I don't need to kill him. He doing their job. I'm trying to get why y'all, I think the most dangerous thing is for y'all to be angry at people for being who they are. That's their nature. The anger has to come in the sense to where you got to change the way you go about doing things. When the devil show you he devil, quit trying to bring the God out of him. Y'all be trying to repaint and remake things into the image of what you want them to be. You ain't got that kind of power. You can barely remake yourself into the image of where you want yourself to be. Like the idea of forgiving a devil and people gonna change, like you haven't even changed. Yet you think that these folks that's been doing this for 500 plus years, I mean, it's deep in their DNA. You want them to change? You think you gonna vote that shit in? You ain't even changed. The family ain't even changed. The hood ain't changed. The environments ain't changed. And yes, I do believe that until we start killing ourselves, we will always be killed. I think the greatest answer to white supremacy is black love. But see, you have somebody like Martin, and they spread his propaganda. His idea was that black and white love was the cure to white hate. It was never the cure. It was always black love. If we love each other, we will not allow anybody to do anything to us. I just want you to just make sense of that for a second. You go find a place, any hoods, like we stop murdering each other, what we start focusing on, protecting each other, healing each other, loving each other, taking care of each other, building with each other. If anybody come in between that, they got an issue. They will feel very comfortable about murdering the people who murder themselves. It's that simple.